Hello, good morning and welcome to 2001 election results. As you know, the country yesterday went for national pause, very important national pause, and we decided that we should be with the nation by bringing you results from the national pause that were conducted yesterday. And we've also been given to understand that in some constituencies, probably voting is still going on. My name is Dominic Chimanyuka. I'm with my colleague, Dorothy Mubemba, who assists me to present this particular program. And let me introduce you to my colleague, Dorothy Mubemba, in the studio this morning. Dorothy, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
A tremendous, I'm okay, a tremendous day it was yesterday.
Yes, it was. In fact, voting, like you mentioned, is actually going on up until now. I'm sure the results from these various polling stations will be coming in much probably during the day.
Well, that's my co-presenter from the Lusaka studios. This particular program is also being presented from our colleagues in Kitwe studios, and we have Sherini Nkoma in our Kitwe studios. Let's welcome Sherini Nkoma from our Kitwe studios. Sherin, are you there? And good morning.
Live telecast coming to you from our Kitwe studios. My name is Sherini Nkoma. Zambia has just been to the polls, and the people of the country are electing leaders to take a new level. But in the studios, I have with me Hicks Iskazwe from the Press Association of Zambia. Good evening, Hicks.
Good evening, or is it good morning?
Good morning, rather. I also have Mr. Stephen Mumbi from the Workers' Education Association of Zambia. Morning, Mr. Mumbi.
Good morning, Sherry.
These gentlemen will help us analyze various electoral issues. But earlier in the day, Anne Mukabe visited some polling stations and brought back this report. Let's just see what was going on in the morning as people were casting their votes.
Day in the calendar of the nation. Kenyans trooped to the polls to cast their vote to put in place a government of their choice. Among the 7 polling stations visited by the ZNBC News crew before midday, the Copperbelt University recorded the highest turnout. Presiding officer Janet Ngoma described the mood as peaceful.
We found a number of voters who claimed they had been here as early as 04. Then the voting started on time.
And how is the mood generally of the people here?
The mood is okay. The mood is very high. I can say it's okay. We haven't experienced any incidences.
And what time are you closing?
We are closing at 17 hours.
Isn't voting supposed to be from 6 to 6?
This time is from 6 to 17 hours.
At Valley View Primary School, a small number of voters were recorded as having come to claim their uncollected cards. Like CBU, the turnout here was also described as impressive despite intermittent showers. Ipusukilo Upper Basic School had 2 polling stations, namely Chikwepe and Mutupa. Only a few voters had turned up at the time the crew visited the station. Presiding officer Richard Juma described the voters as being of sober character, adding that the turnout was promising. He disclosed that counting of votes would be done at the polling station before taking the ballot boxes to the Civic Center for the final count. Voting started late here due to logistical problems.
Now we didn't open due to transport.
We opened at 7:45.
7:45. The transport problem was from Civic Center or
From Civic Center.
to bring the ballot papers in?
Because I stayed fast. I was supposed to be picked at 04:30, but somebody didn't come to pick me up. So I waited up to 04:45 until to ask my family to assist me because I stay with me. Then we arrived here at 04:55. My friends were not in, but the police were already in. Because of the darkness, there are no bulbs here, the candles. So we couldn't do anything, and it's a bit light. Then my friends arrived around 05:15. Yes.
But did you open the station on time at 06?
No, I opened the station around 06:30. Yes.
And how has the turnout been? Give us your impressions as presiding officer.
Not bad. It has been overwhelming. From the time we started, the queue has been there. So the turnout has been okay.
Are there any voters who are coming to claim their uncollected cards?
I haven't seen any. The cards are still there.
Esther Mwale, the presiding officer at Chimwemwe A Basic School, said she turned away 2 eligible voters who came with their company identity cards instead of their registration cards. Mrs. Mwale, however, said there was good response from the people, although the exercise started late.
Actually, we opened this station a little bit late at 6:35 because we had the problem of the gate which was closed. And so immediately we opened, we had a good response from people. There was a long queue already, and since then we have got a very good response. The response is very impressive. As you can see, there are a lot of people, there is a long queue, and this constituency being the biggest one, we have a lot of people. The only problem that we have is where people bring their identities from, that is the identity they use at work instead of a registration card. So we tell them yes.
So far, we've visited about 6 polling stations. Presiding officers at these stations have told us that the election exercise is quite peaceful, and the only problem that they have presented to us is that they opened late, and this was due to logistical problems. However, they have assured us that they will compensate this time and close late. By the way, this year, all counting will be done at individual polling stations, and then the total number of the votes will be taken to the Civic Center, where the final results will be taken much later. The other thing is that there are a few voters who are coming forward to get their unclaimed voters' cards, and so they are also being allowed to vote. Anne Mukabe at Helen Kaunda polling station. Good evening.
Anne Kabe there giving us an insight of what has been happening as people were getting ready to vote. My guests in the studio again are Mr. Sikazwe from PAZA and Mr. Mumbi from the Workers' Education Association of Zambia. I'll begin with you, Mr. Sikazwe. We are talking about, tripartite elections in Zambia, and people have been asking me, what is this tripartite? Could you just give us a definition of tripartite?
Yes, tripartite is actually derived from a word 3, and in these elections we are, I think today people were voting for the president, they were also voting for their member of parliament, they are also voting for lower organs, that is at council level, the people that will run the local government.
We've been seeing, long queues of people, some people were voting as late as 22, 30, even 23 hours. What is the indication of these long queues?
Actually, this is quite surprising. I think that it has even taken the people in authority by surprise. I think we have been accustomed all the time to the apathy, but I think the voter turnout was quite overwhelming. I mean, I remember when I was living in Ndola, it was after 22, and I left long queues in polling stations. Well, there are only 2 explanations to this. One of them is that I think there's a lot of awareness. It shows our growing democracy. And at times, in some cases, actually, good voter turnouts should raise blood pressure, because in some cases they could turn out to be protest votes.
I'll move to you, Mr. Mumbi. I'm sure that as you went around this morning, you saw, you know, a lot of people queuing up to vote, and the fact that we have 11 presidential candidates in Zambia. Is this healthy for our democracy?
I would like to say it's very healthy for our democracy, at least. You know, people are exercising their rights to vote, and people that feel they can lead this country came up actually that they may give themselves to the people of Zambia. So it's up to the people of Zambia themselves, the voters themselves, to choose among the 11. This is good for us. That's what I think.
What are your views of today's elections?
Well, as Mr. Skazwe said, you know, the turnout is very, very overwhelming. I visited some, you know, stations, and indeed I found, you know, long queues. People are eager to vote. You know, there were showers in Kitwe, you know, at the city square where I was. There were showers, but people braved the rains in order to vote. You know, I think, as Mr. Skazwe said again, there has been, I think, a lot of awareness. People have gone out to tell the people the benefits and you know, of voting. You know, people must be involved. Actually, a vote is actually decision making. You are deciding actually the future of your country. So it has been very tremendous.
Well, you are watching Election 2001. On this program, we'll be giving you highlights of results from various polling stations as we receive them. Our reporters are all out in the fields, and they are doing a great job sending us results. Some of the results that have been sent so far, we have results from Mpongwe Central Polling Station, and these are presidential results. The UNIP candidate, Tilienji Kaunda, got 30 votes. SDP, Gwendolyn Koni, got 1 vote. UPND, Anderson Mazoka, got 121 votes. Agenda for Zambia, Inonge Mbikusita Lewanika, got 2 votes. And these are votes that have been recorded at Mpongwe Central Polling Station in Mwansha. The Heritage Party presidential candidate, Brigadier Godfrey Mianda, got 91. NCC candidate, Dr. Nevas Mumba, got 8. ZRP candidate got 50. Patriotic Front got 10. The National Leadership for Development, Mr. Yobet Shamapande, got 4 votes. The Movement for Multi-Party Democracy candidate, Mr. Levi Mwanawasa, got 322 votes. The FDD got 83 votes. Of these votes that were cast, 735 were cast, 13 votes were rejected, and out of the 1,218 registered voters, only 735 voters cast their votes today. At the same polling station, the parliamentary candidate for the MMD got 259. The parliamentary candidate for the Heritage Party got 121. The parliamentary candidate for the FDD got 112. We'll be giving you more as we receive them from our colleagues who are out in the fields. But right now, we're crossing back to Lusaka to see what they have there.
Well, thank you very much, Sherini Nkoma there and Andy Mukawe from our Kitui studios. We shall be getting back to you in a moment or two, because we also have a house full from our ZNBC main studios at the Mass Media Complex in Lusaka. Well, like most of you by now must have known, going by events as have been reported on television and radio, the turnout, the voting turnout, the voters was extremely very good. We have not yet received any official results, but there is information that is filtering through that voting, rather counting of ballots has actually started in some polling stations throughout the country. We shall be giving you these results as and when they are confirmed. because we are actually online with the Electoral Commission HQ, and once the Electoral Commission HQ gets these results, they'll definitely communicate with us. Like I earlier on said, this particular program is online with the Electoral Commission, and they're giving us the results as they actually come in. We also have information that in some constituencies, voting is still going on, and this has actually been attributed, or rather, the delay in concluding casting of ballots has been attributed to the fact that this has been a tripartite election, and the process has been very slow, considering that the voters were expected to cast their ballots three times, and this contributed to actually slowing down the process. Like I earlier on said, keep on watching this particular program, because we are online with the Electoral Commission, and once the results have been confirmed by the Electoral Commission, we shall definitely communicate them to you. We are greatly indebted to Silver International Catering for having provided us in the studio with snacks, and to you, Silver Catering, we say a very big thank you. We have guests in the studio that will be talking to my colleague Dorothy Mubemba, and these are Dr. Neil Simutanyi, who is a research fellow, Institute of Economics and Research at the University of Zambia. As you know, the Institute of Economics and Research of the University of Zambia actually conducted an opinion poll on these tripartite elections, and sometime last week they came up with their findings, which were publicized in the various media settings. We have them here so that as we receive these results, we should be able to talk to them and see whether what they projected is coming. We shall also be discussing with them other issues. So Dr. Neil Simutanyi is with us in the studio, and he's also been accompanied by Dr. Chileshe Mulenga, who is the acting director, Institute of Economics and Research at UNZA. Apart from those two, we also got Mr. Mr. Mufana Lipalile, who is the head of the Department, Development Studies, University of Zambia. We've also got Mr. Thomas Mabwe, who is a lecturer in Development Studies at the University of Zambia. They'll be speaking to Dorothy Mubemba in a while or two, but just now, let's get to see what we have on our computer on the status of political parties in this country, considering that we are just awaiting the results of the 2001 elections. Let's try and see what the status of political parties in this country is. And these parties have not been presented in order of importance at all, apart from the fact that they have been presented in the alphabetical order. Let's try and refresh ourselves to see what type of parties do we have in this country. That's the agenda for Zambia, and the party president is Dr. Inonge Mbukusta Lewanika, and the party was actually registered or formed 23rd October 1996. Agenda for Zambia has presented 17 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, and it has also presented 24 candidates for seats in the local government elections. 17 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, which has 156 being contested for, and 1,287 seats being contested for at local government level. So agenda for Zambia there, from the 1996, 24 candidates in the local government elections. Let's try and see if we can get to the next party in line, as we have it on our computer. Agenda for Zambia, Dorothy, been in existence from 1996 to date. Made an impression on the Zambian politics?
I think, in some parts of the country. But also, I think it's also important to make mention here that the president who is contesting this year's elections only took over this year from Akashamba Twambikusita Lewanika. So I'm not really sure whether she really had enough time to sell herself, but I think she's doing well.
Okay, the next party is the Democratic Party. I hope our director can cut to our computer so that our viewers at home should be in a position to see what we're talking about here. The Democratic Party, with its President Emmanuel Mwamba, and this is the information that is coming to us from the Electoral Commission of Zambia. The Democratic Party created, or rather registered, 18th April 1991. It's presenting 2 candidates for seats in the National Assembly. Out of 150 seats, the Democratic Party is presented 2 candidates that are going to contest. And out of the 1,287 seats, they have presented none in the local government elections. So that's the Democratic Party. And we're bringing you parties that are in this country, not in their order of importance, but in the alphabetical order, just as they are presented on the computer. We should move to the next party. We have the Forum for Democracy and Development. It's already on our screens, and I hope the director should be quite quick so that we can get to see. The Forum for Democracy and Development, party president there, Lieutenant General Christon Tembo, and this party was created in August of this year, 20th August of this year to be specific. 150 seats are being contested for, and the FDD has fielded 149 candidates for seats in the National Assembly. They have 1,180 candidates for the local government elections. The FDD there fielding 149 seats, 149 candidates for National Assembly. Dorothy?
Yes, in fact, actually, they did field, I think, 150 candidates, except that one candidate in one of the constituencies decided to pull out for reasons, that were mentioned, I think, some time back in the press.
Okay. Let's get to see the next party that we have online here. The Heritage Party. The Heritage Party, as you know, the party president is Brigadier General Godfrey Mianda, formed, registered in the 9th of July 2001. They are fielding 119 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, and they are fielding 604 candidates for the local government elections. Our next party there is the Liberal Progressive Front. The party president, Dr. Roger Chongwe, out of the country for reasons that we would not want to talk about at this particular point in time, formed 16th October 1995. One candidate for seats in the National Assembly for the 150-seat National Assembly, and one candidate for the local government elections. Let's try and see which other party we have in this country so that we reflect ourselves as we go into the election results for the 2001 presidential, parliamentary, and local government elections. That's the ruling MMD, the party president, also Republican President Dr. Frederick Chiluba, formed, registered 4th January 1991. The MMD has presented 150 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, meaning the MMD is actually contesting in each and every constituency. They've also fielded 1,280 candidates for the local government elections, meaning they are also contesting in each and every local government election. A very good record, Dorothy?
Yes, indeed, a very good record, and I think it also gives them a high chance of actually scooping a lot of seats because they are contesting in almost all the constituencies, so they stand a better chance of actually, I think, scooping most of the seats.
That's the incumbent. Let's try and see if we can move on to the next party in line, and we've got the National Citizens Coalition with Party President Dr. Nevas Sekwila Mumba, created 23rd July, I beg your pardon, 1993. The NCC has fielded 79 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, and they have also fielded 217 candidates for seats in the local government elections. Well, the NCC been around for quite a long time. They're fielding 217 candidates out of 1,287 in the local government elections, and only 79 out of 150 seats. Let's try and see if we can get to another party. The National Democratic Party, Mr. Tintan Mwanza, party president. Date of creation, according to the records that are with the Electoral Commission, 7th December 1992. They are not fielding any candidates for the National Assembly elections, but they're fielding 10 candidates for the local government elections. Quite an interesting feature there, Dorothy. No candidates in the National Assembly elections, and yet actually it's new. It's 0 candidates for the local government elections. So the National Democratic not really taking part in this year's tripartite elections. Let's try and see if we can move to another political party.
Although again, Dominic, what is interesting is that they've been around for quite some time, from 1992, so it's a bit surprising that they're not fielding anybody.
Indeed. We have the National Leadership for Development, 18th May 2001, date of creation, with party president Dr. Yobet Shamapande. They're fielding 23 candidates for seats out of the 150 seats. They have chosen to go for 23 seats, and they're fielding 21 candidates for the local government elections out of the 1,287. A new party, National Leadership for Development, coming up with 21 candidates in the local government elections and 23 candidates in the National Assembly elections, as compared to the previous party that we've seen, Dorothy.
Yes, exactly. Maybe if they had been formed probably a few years back, we could have seen them, maybe, contesting in maybe even the 150, constituencies at parliamentary level, and of course maybe fielding a lot of other, candidates at local government election. Like you mentioned, been around for quite a while, not that long, so I think that's a good record.
Okay, let's try and move on to another party, and that's the National Party. Party President Dr. Sam Chipungu, date of creation 10 September 1993. They're fielding 1 candidate for seats in the National Assembly, and out of the 1,287 local government seats, they have chosen to go for 6. It's the National Party. We can move on to another political party. The Patriotic Front. Party President Michael Sata. Date of creation 2nd October 2001. 104 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, Patriotic Front. 352 candidates for the local government elections. An interesting spectre there, Dorothy?
Yes, indeed, quite interesting there. Considering the fact that this party was only formed about some 2 months ago, for them to have 104 parliamentary candidates, that's also a very good record. I'm sure if they had been there for quite some time, they could have made it 250.
Yeah, most of that, we've seen some parties that have been in existence for quite some time, and they have fielded far less candidates. Others have not fielded any candidate at all.
this actually does show some seriousness on the part of, the organizers and, in fact, the whole party hierarchy.
Okay, let's see if we can get to another party. That's the Progressive People's Party. Party President Kalumbwa Kaputo, date of creation 20th November 1998. No candidates for seats in the National Assembly and no candidates for seats in the local government elections. And like we keep on saying, the data that we're giving you is that we have obtained from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and the order in which these parties are being projected on your screens has no bearing at all, because it's the alphabetical kind of arrangement that we're following here. Let's try and see if we can get to another party. The RDP, the Real Democratic Party in full. The party president is David K. Ilimata. And this party was actually formed 11th April 1995. No candidates for seats in the National Assembly and no candidates for seats in the local government elections. Can we move on and see another party? The SDP, Social Democratic Party. Party President Gwendolyn Kony, date of creation 20th of October, the year 2000. Social Democratic Party is fielding 7 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, and they're fielding another 7 candidates for seats in the local government elections. Your comment, Dorothy?
Actually, we would have expected them to maybe even field more candidates, at local government than the 7 that is projected there. I think for a party that was just formed sometime last year, I think 7 is not bad.
7 is not bad for the Social Democratic Party there. Let's move on and see what we have next. UNIP, the United National Independence Party. Well, party president, even though not written there, it's Tigenje Kaunda, date of formation 1959, 28th October 1959. UNIP is fielding 147 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, and they're also fielding 938 candidates for seats in the local government elections. And we wish to remind our viewers, those that have just joined us, that we are just looking at the history and the number of political parties that we have in this particular country. We've shown a number of them, and now we are on UNIP, that is fielding 938 candidates for the local government elections and 147 candidates for seats in the National Assembly. UNIP been around for some time, and coming up with 147 candidates instead of 150 at the National Assembly level, and 938 instead of coming up with 1,287 candidates at local government level. Dorothy, your comment?
Yes, indeed, they've been around for quite a long time. In fact, the longest party in the country, at the moment. 147 actually is not bad. As you are aware, Dominic, in some instances, some candidates who were few decided to pull out at the last minute. I'm not really sure whether this is what happened to UNIPO, that they just fielded in 147, but it's not bad. I think it's actually very, very good for them. 938, not too bad as well.
Okay, let's see whether we have another party. Yes, the Unity Party for Democrats. Party President Matthew Piketty. Out of 150 seats, they are not fielding any candidates to contest those seats. Out of 1,287 seats at local government level, they're not fielding any candidate. Also, possibly we could move ahead and see if we have, yes, the United People's Front, Yoram Mumba, party president, date of creation 15th March 1998. No symbol, no candidates for the local government elections, and no candidates for seats in the National Assembly. Let's move on and see which other political parties we have. The UPND, United Party for National Development. Party President Anderson Kambela Mazoka, date of creation 20th November 1998. UPND presented 149 candidates for seats in the National Assembly, and they have presented 1,064 candidates for seats in the local government elections. Your comment?
I think that is very good on their part. 149, they stand a good chance of scooping quite a number of seats in the National Assembly. 164 at local government elections. Would have expected them actually to field all 1,284, but that is not bad. 1,064 is not bad at all.
So that's the UPND created 20th November 1998. Party President Anderson Mazoka, 149 candidates for seats in the National Assembly and 1,064 candidates for the local government elections. Let's move on and see if we have another party. The Zambia Alliance for Progress. Party President Mr. Dane Mungomba, date of creation 8 June 2001. The Zambia Alliance for Progress has presented 17 candidates for seats in the National Assembly and 50 candidates for the local government elections. ZAP President Dini Mungomba not contesting these elections, Dorothy?
Yes, he decided to actually withdraw, I think, at the last minute. Basically, I think he felt that there were too many, presidential candidates, were contesting. And I don't know whether he felt that it wasn't, that he could not stand a good chance of, scooping the seat. But otherwise, he decided to pull out at the last minute. There were wrangles, there were some problems. At one time, we were even told that they were going to support the ruling party at presidential level, but things changed.
Okay. The Zambia Progressive Party. Professor Emu Mpande, Party President, date of creation 1993, June 15th. One candidate for seats in the National Assembly and no candidates for seats in the local government elections. Let's proceed. The Zambia Republican Party, Party President B.Y. Mwila, date of creation 9th August the year 2000. 139 candidates for the 150 National Assembly and 794 candidates for the local government elections. For the 1,287 seats, the ZRP has fielded 794 candidates for the local government elections. Quite interesting features there.
Yes, again, because the party was only formed last year, so I believe that probably if it was formed some time back, maybe much earlier, they could have gone up to 150. Elementary, and probably even gone up to 1,287 at local government.
That's possibly our last party for this particular evening, the Zambia United Development Party. Wilson Mukupa, Party President, date of creation 7th May 2001. The Zambia United Development Party has fielded 4 candidates for seats in the National Assembly and no candidates for the local government elections. Well, that's a list of political parties that we have in this country, and from what we've been able to show you, you've been able to see how various political parties have participated in terms of contesting this year's tripartite elections. And very quickly, we should be moving on to the returns chart. Now, the returns chart shows us the number of constituencies. It will come in form of a map of Zambia, and it will show us the number of constituencies and possibly towns in the country. And once the results begin coming, then the returns chart will actually show it. But for now, we have not yet started receiving any results at all, and therefore what you're going to see on your screen will actually be a returns chart which is gray in color. And once our director is ready with that particular piece of information, we should be showing you the retains chart. But just now, we should be speaking to our guests in the studio, and remember that this is a live telecast of the 2001 elections that is being broadcast on an over-to-you basis with our colleagues in Kitwe. We've got our colleague Sherini Nkoma in Kitwe standing by, and we should be crossing to Kitwe any time from now, so that we can get to see what our colleagues in Kitwe have for us. Well, the returns chart, I'm being told, has just come, and it should be on your screens now. So that's our retains chart. How many constituencies have retained their results so far? As you see, there is none there because we have not yet begun receiving the returns from the Electoral Commission. We should be getting to some of the interesting constituencies. Some of the interesting constituencies in the country. We begin with, I think, Lusaka Central, so that we say, no, it's actually Kawata constituency. Let's see how many voters were registered in Kawata Central constituency, and what status is in Kawata Central constituency. We have a number of constituencies that we are going to show you. Some of them that we feel are quite interesting. We should be able to see how data in those constituencies is like, so that we can refresh ourselves, we can refresh our memories, so that we can see how much work has been done in that direction, in the direction of compiling this particular data from the constituencies. We're still waiting for our computer to give us that particular data, and once we get it, you're definitely going to see it, and we're going to splash it on the screen so that you can be able to see it. You're watching a live presentation of 2001 election results. So far, we have not received any official results yet from the elections that were conducted yesterday, and we're still being told that perhaps voting is still going on in some constituencies and at some polling stations. But what we do know is that there was a tremendous turnout, massive turnout of voters, and they came out in large numbers. I think for those that had registered, we would safely say more than 75% of the people that registered to vote must have cast their votes. Let's try and see what Kawata constituency looks like. Kawata constituency is in Lusaka. Well, that's the general information on Kawata constituency. 14,006 households, population of 86,963. Registered voters in Kawata constituency, 43,468. And then the candidates and the parties that took part in this election at parliamentary level. We've got the Patriotic Front, Satamulenga, Heritage Party, Tembo George, ZRP, Nkandu Mushikita, FDD, Kachingwa Richard. We have Mr. Simukulwan Independent, UPND, Lubinda Given, NCC, Kafuimbi Shadrick, UNIP, Chingambu Emily, MMD, Nyirongo Dominic. We've not yet received any results, any confirmed official results from Kawata constituency, and once we get to the results, then you'll see that where the votes column is, where there are zeros, and where the number of votes cast in percentage will definitely change. Let's try and see Matero constituency. How does Matero constituency look like in Lusaka? Well, we're being given Kembe constituency, but let's try and cut to it and say what Kembe constituency looks like. Well, we've got a problem there. I think we should be getting to Matero constituency as people that are operating the computer are ready. And you are watching a live presentation of the 2001 election results. Well, I'm being told Matero constituency is ready for us to see what the status is. Let's try and see what the status is on Matero constituency. There you are, 37,567. Number of households, 214,015 is the population of Matero constituency. And out of that population, 57,165 registered voters. Colette, okay, we're moving to Wacha constituency in Kabwe. Yes, that's Wacha constituency in Kabwe. Well, we've got a problem there, but you are watching a live presentation of the 2001 election results, and once we are ready, we should be getting to Lusaka Central constituency so that we can see what is on the Lusaka Central constituency. But yes, we've got Lusaka Central constituency on our computer now. Let's try and see what Lusaka Central constituency looks like. Lusaka Central constituency, 18,079 households, 222 population, 42,128 registered voters. We've got Lombe Beauty from the PF standing in Matero constituency, Mandona Humphrey from the HP, Mulela Magi from ZRP, Patel Deepak, FDD Independent, doing. UPND has Mr. Kasong Komona, that is Lusaka Central. NCC has Mwewa Chitambala, and UNIP has George Lewis, while the MMD has Crispin Mushota. No results received yet from Lusaka Central constituency, even though information that is reaching us is that counting has actually started, but it might be a little bit of a while before we get to know the official results from Lusaka Central constituency. If we can get Chifubu constituency on the Copper Belt in Ndola so that we can see what the status is for Chifubu constituency in Ndola. But just now, we have not yet received any official results, and our colleagues in Kitwe, I know, are standing by, and we should be getting to our colleagues in Kitwe anytime from now for them to give us what they have prepared for us. And we shall be with you until 06 hours this morning when our colleagues Karisto Chitamfia and Margaret Chmanse, as well as Patricia Mulenga, will come in to carry on from where we would have left off. Well, I'm being told Chifubu constituency is on our screens now. Let's try and see if we can get to see what Chifubu constituency has to offer. As you know, Chifubu constituency is one of the biggest constituencies in Ndola, 13,456 households, and the population there is 79,847. The number of registered voters is 13,202. Christopher Gladys, PF, candidates at parliamentary level, Christopher Gladys, PF, NLD Mukanzu Benjamin, HP Kawanda Susan, ZAP Mwanga Catherine, ZRP Mulenga David, FDD Kazembe Stanislas, UPND Mulilo Felistas, and NCC Chileshe Clement, UNIP Shama Dinesh, MMD Mulanda Matthew. No results yet received from Chifubu constituency, even though we have an indication that counting has actually started, and we should be getting results as and when they come. After all, that's why we are here, so that we can keep the nation. Get it on your screens now. It's Chimwemwe constituency in Kitwe. $15,322 registered 15,322 households and 87,843 population.
Exactly. And in Chimwemwe constituency, we have Kasonde Probi, who is standing on the PF ticket. We have Mungalava Axon, HP, Mukumbi Joe.
Population of 87,843, even though the total population is not of voting age, but 23,000 in Southern Province.